On today's episode, we're answering the question, no, we're not, because I'm on the wrong damn outline. I think that, why do I think it is, or what do I perceive it as? Because that's two different things.
Those are two
One's
different
intellectual and one's how it makes me
things.
feel. So I think it's really just that we're all very busy, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 85,000 things on your plate, and my podcast is not your top priority. I can't imagine why, but it's not, and that's okay. Right? We will roll with it because Jenny and I are professionals. Or, I'll roll with it on a summit because I'm able to do that.
But we're judging you. But how does it make you feel?
Like I am unvalued and taken for granted and not worth your effort.
And we've had that happen before where the person's just basically shown up and been like, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So now what? And we're like, and this is why you and I have a process for the podcast. We have a 15-minute call. We build out the episodes. The only people who get to skip the 15-minute call are people that we already know and have an established relationship with. And we already know that they're good to go. The 15-minute call is key. And this is key for summits, by the way. And it's also key for podcasting, et cetera, as a guest speaker, so that you can either build the episode, you can get a sense of who the person is. One of the first questions out of the box that we have when we interview for a 15-minute pre-call is we say, have you ever listened to the podcast before?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
9 times out of 10, the person has not. Again, I get it.
We don't judge them for that.
No.
Mm-mm.
But it does let us know the people who have already know they're a fit or already believe they're a fit. And I will tell you, our next episode, number 159, is a pretty recognizable name.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's huge.
And I'm super excited. And we had her do a 15-minute call.
Yep.
This is not a big names get a pass. This is, we know who you are. We've had people that we know very well. And even if it's not a 15-minute call, it's a group chat, it's an email series back and forth. We build the episode before the episode. And that way we can know that it resonates with our audience as well as the expertise that person has to bring. Summits do the same thing. They're going to want to build it with you.
Absolutely. And it's key to being a good expert. So there are a couple things for being a good speaker. One, obviously being prepared, not being a frazzled mess with your audio and your video, being ready to go. If your interview's at like 10 o'clock in the morning, showing up for the 10 o'clock. If you're going to be late, letting the person know. I had this happen the other day where I sat for about 11 minutes waiting for somebody to show up for their thing. And I emailed them and I was just about to leave. And they were like, oh, sorry, I got hung up on something. Just let me know. Like, I'm cool with the wait, but just let me know. That would be really good. And giving good interview is also, I think, getting away from the fluff, right? If you want to stand out and you want to be asked back, and Alison and I have reoccurring guests on this podcast, which you will see often. Mm-hmm. It's because they're not fluffy, giving the same answers that everybody else is. They're going a little bit deeper and they're letting us poke and prod a little bit, which I think is also important.
Yeah, we've really, over the last few years, honed our interview skills. We've gotten really good at getting to the meat of strategies and ideas and techniques and information and history. And we love it when people give thoughtful answers and don't hold back. And, we're not asking for our guests to deliver the content of their high-paid programs on our podcast. But we also don't just want the same crap. That's been recycled online for a decade or more.
No, we want something different.
That's what your summit hosts want too.
What's something that people don't talk about enough of, but that should be done more as a good guest speaker?
It's so funny. So one of the things that I do, that I talk about when I pitch myself on podcasts or I speak on summits is the I'm part of the team with this, right? Like I know what it takes to produce a summit. I know what it takes to produce a podcast. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to make it easier for you to manage me. I will provide questions. I will, throw calendar invites. I will communicate. I mean, I was on a summit. Oh my gosh, when was it? In the spring. And I realized that during promo, I was going to, or no, during the summit itself, I was going to be on a family vacation. That was my son's spring break. I went to Disneyland. And so as soon as I realized that those two things overlapped, I emailed the host. I said, here's the situation. I'm happy to set up promo before I leave on autopilot. I'm also happy to promote, while I'm there on the day it goes live. I'm happy to engage in the group while I'm there. But if you want me to recuse myself to pull out, let me know. I'll work to try and help you find a replacement. Not only did I offer to leave so that she had the best lineup possible, I offered to help her replace me because I'm part of the team. She kept me on her summit, by the way.
I would too, because that's
right.
Being a good human being. And
It's
I think
pro.
It is pro. And pro doesn't mean having to invest in a speaking course or having none of that kind of stuff. I think it's about, and what you and I really appreciate, not only on our summits, but on our podcasts and whatnot, is people that go a little bit of that extra mile sometimes. I love a follow-up email. Do you know that giving good interview is also about giving good follow-up? I love a little aftercare. Okay. So give me a little aftercare with an email that just says, hey, I had so much, Allison's laughing her head off. I had so much fun being on the podcast. It was so great. Can't wait to, blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't demand it. We just love it. We just love getting those little emails. They're so nice. And I was just on a podcast. I actually I was filling out a form. I didn't fill this out. I was filling out a form where the prerequisite to be considered for a guest was to listen to the podcast and provide which 3 episodes did you most recently listen to and what did you learn? That was a question. That I had to provide a review of the podcast before listening or before being an expert. Oh yeah, this was a whole thing. That I had to, there was some other condition that I had to agree to. And I think it was about being on their list or something. Like I had to submit to being on their email list. I can't remember what it was. The only one that I just didn't like was like, they demanded, I had to give a review. I had to give a review or I would not be considered as a guest expert on their podcast.
I don't like that in general.
We ask, we don't demand.
We ask.
We ask
Would you
after
mind?
the interview.
Will you? Well, yeah, and we're building out a process to ask before, and that's fine. But like, I don't. Why do I need an assignment? I'm on a soapbox for a minute, but like, why are you going to give me like a book report assignment in order for me to share my information and my expertise with your audience? I get that you have a platform. I have expertise. I also have skill. And so there's a little bit of ego coming out here right now, but I'm not going to do your homework assignment in order to get onto your show.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So I was filling out the form. I got to this point and I was like, okay. So that tab stayed open on my computer for probably about 2 days. And then I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And I closed it.
So I think part of being a good guest and giving good interview is knowing your own value.
Yeah.
Know what you bring to the table and don't be afraid to bring it. One of the things that I do really well is sound bites.
Yeah, that's why you do our intros. You're a dick.
Seriously.